We need to wake up. There's a lot on the line. We don't got room for hatred anymore. We can disagree on opinions and doctrines and stuff. We can have intelligent debates. We don't need to fucking kill each other, man. It's 2025 already. Let's stick together for once. Let's try that. Let's try that for once. Let's stick together for once, man. Let's care about each other. Let's care about our neighbor. Let's care about our neighborhood. Let's care about our town.
All right, guys, viral sensation Bek Lover is here. Over 2 billion views, man. You've been blowing up. Thanks for coming on.
Sean, it's good to see you again, brother. We're back here in Vegas. We're living in interesting times indeed, man. Every day we turn on that television, it's something new, something else. And it seems to be this push of morality, man. It's just, to sit here and say that we're not living in Babylon, from a spiritual perspective. It would be a foolish thing to say.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, man. Trump's been busy.
He's been busy, man. But, I've said it a million times to people. There is no one coming to save us. I said it on your show. That clip went viral. Left, right. At the end of the day, they're both warmongers. There's corruption in all levels. 1 minute Trump goes, I don't know if you remember this. I defeated ISIS. He was talking about this when he was running for re-election last. I defeated ISIS. In his first month, we have to go to Yemen and bomb ISIS. So I guess you didn't defeat ISIS? Like, when are people going to wake up and see the game? As someone that lost his family in war, as someone that had to evolve and learn not to hate everyone that was from the people that killed my people. Very similar to what's going on in the Middle East, right? Without using certain words, because it gets flagged.
Yeah.
Okay, you have two groups of people that have ethnically had tension, who can't seem to get out of this vicious cycle, right? And no one's winning there, because when you're in a state of conflict with other people and you wipe other people out, those people, you either got to completely eliminate them, because they will come back for revenge, man. If someone took out my entire family with a bomb or whatever, I'm never going to forget that. I'm going to teach the next generation. So until there's a way to end what's going on over there, it's never going to end. And it's not going to be fixed with hatred. The only way to fix what's going on over there is with love. The people acknowledging what they did was excessive, asking for forgiveness to the people, treating them like humans, them in return saying, we forgive you. It takes a lot of love to fix what's going on over there. And hatred hasn't been working for the last 75 years.
Right.
But I'm tired of these politicians who keep putting America last, all of them. Because if you're putting any other nation before America, you're not America first. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's a country in the Middle East. It doesn't matter if it's Albania. We have our own interests from the U.S. that we need, right? And we're also worried as Albanians. We're very worried about Trump's Richard Grenell. He's already making statements that are very dangerous to the sovereignty of the Republic of Kosovo. Kosovo had a war in 1997 to 99. I lost 28 people in that conflict. It's one of the most pro-American countries on the face of the planet. And this clown who's being lobbied by the Serbian government, okay, the Albanians are the most pro-American people on earth.
Wow.
Not just Europe, on earth. And the previous administration, all of them actually, it doesn't matter Republican or Democrat, none of them have armed Kosovo, a country that was liberated by the United States of America, recognized by the United States of America, okay? And they leave us like sitting ducks there, because I think eventually they're just gonna allow our country to either be fractured or lead it into another war. And they left more weapons to the Taliban. Okay, that's another thing, as someone that was in the World Trade Center, right? We're gonna take out the Taliban. We've been paying them billions of dollars. We left them billions of dollars of weapons. Like, when do we wake up as Americans, left and right, and say, man, we've been played? And how they play us is they pinpoint differences in ideology and make us believe we're threats to one another. They're going to wipe out your right to be married to whoever. They're going to stop you from taking out babies from your womb or whatever. And they got us at each other's throats. And because we've lost so much morality in our country, we've lost our minds spiritually, in my opinion. We've become a godless society. I don't care what anyone says. Yeah, there's people that believe in God in America, but overall as a society, what more do we need to talk about than the Grammys? You have a man, and this is not to pick on him, okay, but I'm going to pick on him. You sit here claiming you're a Christian. You claim that you believe in God. And again, I'm not saying this to put the Christians down. You can never blame the ideology or the religion based on the actions of their quote unquote followers. No more than you could call me a terrorist for the actions of a so-called Muslim, doing something like that, right?
Yeah.
So when I'm pointing out what Kanye's done, it's not to put down Christians. It's they need to be outraged. They need to call him out. He's in there preaching spirituality and God and all this stuff, right? Am I right or am I wrong? He's preached this publicly, his own church, and dressing up and singing songs about God. And then you parade your wife, something entrusted to you by the Creator, something that you're supposed to have dignity and honor with, something that God blessed you with. You're parading in front of the entire world naked. The right that you have as a man, as a husband, that only your eyes should see, you're giving away for clicks and likes and follows. But it's not just Kanye. Kanye is the magnification of the society and the clout-chasing world that we now live in, with these weapons of mass envy and mass filth. And we are, brother, those images were X-rated, bro. You can see her completely naked. There are people around the world pleasuring themselves, literally looking at the images of Kanye West's wife. What does he want? He should never talk about spirituality ever again. Clearly, the material world is more important to him and clicks and follows. And to even hear that he wasn't even invited to the Grammys and you show up to parade your wife naked is a sign of the world that we live in. It's also a sign of the end of the world in Islam. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said towards the end of time, you will see women that are clothed but are naked. And when you see this, know that the hour is near.
Wow.
Now, people would say, looking at mini skirts and all that in the 60s, because that's really when this all started, right? In the 60s with the hippies. People forget that when the show I Dream a Genie came out, there was protests when she showed her belly button on television. That's how much morality we've gone away from it, right? We're so far off the reservation that things that I would have seen as a child would have had to have been on an X-rated tape or on a special cable channel, right? You can now see everywhere. So it corrupts our souls, brother. We are being bombarded with this very negative energy that we're made to believe is normal. It's normal to see a guy parade his wife butt naked in the street. It's normal to watch people fornicating out in the open. And it has taken its toll on our society. People don't understand the spiritual consequences of what is going on right now, what it does to our souls, what it does to our children. When we were kids, we'd have to try to find the naughty tape. We'd have to try to go into a store and see if the guy would sell it and then hope our parents are not home and then pop it into a VCR when no one's. It was very difficult to see these types of images. I, as a parent, even if I do not give my child a phone, I have no way to protect my child from the defilement that it can occur in seconds just because their friends at school have a phone. Hey, Jimmy, look at this. And in seconds, your child loses their innocence and sees things that they can't unsee. I remember the first time I saw an X-rated image. It was disturbing to me. I was young. I went to a friend's house. He's like, hey, I got this cool video. He put it in. I was horrified, bro. Okay, I was in 4th or 5th grade. And to see something of that graphic nature, it is disturbing, especially to a child. You got someone like Kanye West bringing his wife out naked in front of the whole world to an event he's not even invited to. I'm asking you, what's the purpose? For what? What are you achieving? Either A, she's really not your wife, you don't love her. Because if you loved her, but I'm not letting her off the hook. I can tell she wants to do it. They said, no, she's a clout chaser. Okay? So it's either a marriage of convenience, hey, I'm not with Kim no more, but here, look at how hot she is. And you guys can see every nook and cranny of her body. Like, it's crazy to me, Sean.
Yeah, from what I've heard, it's an open relationship too.
Of course. I mean, what more open when the whole world can see her naked, brother?
Yeah.
Okay? You got a bunch of 14-year-olds, 13-year-olds all over the world now pulling up her image, and I promise you that's what they're doing, these young kids. I'm not saying that's what I did, but people that are attracted, it's Kanye's wife there. Might as well rub one out to her. I mean, it's crazy, man. How are you a man of God?
Yeah, that's crazy. Do you think demonic influences played a role in all that? Because that seemed really weird.
There's demonic influence completely throughout it. From the name Hollywood itself, to when you study people like Aleister Crowley, which I keep telling people, you want the keys to the puzzle, you want to understand the world that we live in, the America that we live in, you need to go down that rabbit hole. Study the life of Aleister Crowley. Study the life of Jack Parsons, the father of modern rocketry. He was a disciple of Aleister Crowley, Walt Disney, L. Ron Hubbard. There would be no Elon Musk without people like L. Ron Hubbard. And then you got people like Billy Carson, which, by the way, I think I called out on your last show. I called him out long before Wes Huff. I didn't have Billy Carson on my show. I told you guys, this guy is what you would call a new age prophet. And he's been exposed. And my compliments and love to Wes Huff. And I don't have beef with Christians. I want to clarify. People take clips of mine out of context. Having a debate about doctrine is one thing. It doesn't mean I don't respect you as a Christian. It doesn't mean I would rather everyone in America be Christian than the world we live in right now. And my Muslims will get mad at me. Because I'd rather have people that actually follow Christianity and believe in God and morals, because that's what Christianity teaches you, and have modesty like the Virgin Mary, peace and blessings be upon her, than the world that we live in right now, right? Morality-wise.
Yeah.
The generation of bastards, like I mentioned on the last show, this society of lust, of people wonder why all these kids are full of rage. Because when you have deadly sins, Sean Kelly, lust, children born out of lust, not love, there's a consequence. That child was charged with negative energy. Their parents didn't even want them. Their parents didn't love them. So they let out their rage because it's an injustice to that child. That child didn't ask to be born. You went and made love to, you made love. It wasn't love. You went and had physical relations with no spiritual commitment, no love commitment, no morals, no nothing. That child comes into this world unwanted, unloved, and unleashes its rage on society. 90% of violent crime is from these children. These are hard facts. Look it up on the Heritage Foundation. Facts.
Wow, 90%.
90% of violent crime is children from a single parent home.
Holy crap.
So they're born out of lust and not love. They're born from deadly sins, so all they bring to the world is death. This was also a sign of the end of the world in Islam, that many children would be born out of wedlock and that you would feel their rage. Peace and blessings be upon the Prophet Muhammad.
So when you say end of the world, are we actually talking like end of
God
humanity?
knows best. And anyone that claims, listen, no, the Christians have been saying Jesus is coming for 2,000 years. And there was some periods even in Muslim history, like when the Mongolians invaded, they thought maybe this might be the end because they were, that's an amazing history if you say the Mongolians were slaughtering the Muslims. Then they ended up becoming Muslim, which is crazy, right? And then they went back up to, their natural, habitat, right? But that was a crazy history. Like they were like the first Muslims, they were slaughtering them. It's an amazing history. And they end up becoming, right? So the occupier ends up becoming Muslim, which is fascinating.
Interesting. Wow.
Genghis Khan's people, right? It's crazy.
They were all Muslim? Genghis Khan's
They
people?
became Muslim.
Wow.
So they were slaughtering the Muslims and then they accepted Islam.
Whoa. That's
Yeah.
how powerful it is.
It's crazy, bro. Everyone. I mean, listen, like I said, my goal, and even in Islam, we believe there's an alliance towards the end of time, that there's a group of Muslims and Christians who unite to fight against the Antichrist. This is an Islamic eschatology. We believe towards the end of time, the Christians that can see the truth, they're not bugged down with Santa Claus and Easter and all these pagan influences that came from none other, in my opinion, than Paul. Paul, not the apostle, Paul, the corrupter. A man who never met Christ, a man who wrote almost 30% of the New Testament, a man who was massacring the first Christians. The first Christians, the oldest of them, the Ebionites. The Ebionites were Jews who never believed Jesus was God. They believed he was the Messiah. They were hunted down, they were rounded up, they were eliminated, they were massacred. It took the Christians 325 years to figure out whether Jesus was God or the Son of God. That's what the Council of Nicaea was about. It wasn't just about the Bible. They couldn't figure out for 325 years whether he was God or just a prophet. That book was compiled 40 to 100 years after his alleged crucifixion in multiple languages. There's nothing uniform about it, brother. At least in Islam, there's only one Quran. Sunni Shia, there's only one Quran. Everyone prays in Arabic, whether they're white, whether they're Asian. It's not because the Arabs are considered superior. It's to preserve the book. So what happened to the New Testament doesn't happen to the last testament. This is Islam in essence. We believe in all of the prophets and messengers of God. We believe God sent prophets and messengers throughout the entire earth. We don't even know all their names. He didn't just choose one people. He chose the Israelites to pass revelation for a long period of time, but we believe they lost that right when they killed John the Baptist. They chopped his head off, and they did not accept Christ as the Messiah. So they lost revelation. And Islam believes Abraham had two sons. One was the Israelites, one was the nation of the Arabs. When the Israelites dropped the ball for rebelling against God, for executing John the Baptist, peace and blessings be upon him, he's mentioned in the Quran, then they tried to, we don't believe Jesus died on the cross.
Oh, wow.
We believe when they betrayed him, God made it appear to them that they actually killed him. God says in the Quran, you think you killed him. You didn't kill him. I made it look like that to lead you all astray. Jesus tells you in John 15, John 16, I'm leaving. They don't believe in me. My mission has failed here. Go read John 15, John 16. However, the Comforter will come. The Spirit of truth who will not speak from himself. Whatever he hears from the Father, he shall make it known to you. You guys are reading this book in English. Jesus Christ didn't speak English. He spoke Aramaic. Most of the Bible is in Conic Greek. Jesus was in Greek. Aramaic to Greek, Greek to Latin, Latin to English. Ask any language scholar. You lose 20 to 30% when you try to convert languages. You guys can't even pray in the language of Christ. And then you want to talk to me about which book is more authentic? The Quran was left completed during the life of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. This phenomenon is known as the Hafiz. Millions and millions of people. I'm a white boy, Sean Kelly. I've witnessed every Ramadan, people get up there, brother, and recite the entire book. There's nothing in front of them.
Wow.
And if they make one mistake, Sean, one mistake, 50 people in the crowd will correct the imam. This is not like with a priest. And you can, with imams, you can say, no, you're wrong, or no, you messed up. You're allowed to challenge them. There is no superiority in Islam. There is no confessing your sins. Your sins are between you and God. God has all power. The imam can't cure you of your sins. He can advise you. This is what you did wrong. Try to fix it. Try to fast. Try to make up for the evil you've done by doing good. Or as the Prophet Muhammad said, replace evil with good. There is no superiority in race. I'm white. I'm always the minority. I never feel uncomfortable, brother.
That's cool.
I've walked into mosques in Newark, New Jersey, Malcolm X mosque in Harlem. That's what I love about it. That's what changed Malcolm X. He went to Mecca. He hated white people, bro. It's the truth. He lost his life. He was not a true follower of Islam. He was in a deviated sect. Then he became a true Muslim. It costed him his life.
Really?
He came back and said, no, we're all equal. Because he was in Mecca. He did the pilgrimage. Every Muslim has to go once in their life if they can afford to. He goes to Mecca, does the pilgrimage. He's sitting there eating out of a bowl with white people. He's like, these people don't view me the way white people in America view me. They view me as equal to them. That's when he became a true Muslim. Go look at the clip on YouTube when he comes off the plane from Mecca. He comes back on this journey and he's like, actually, we all can get along. If we could learn how to believe in Islam, we could all be brothers and sisters. These people don't view me based on my color. He changed his whole song and dance from that one journey, bro. It is the greatest gathering of people on earth. It's the most powerful vortex on earth. You have 2-3 million people circulating, which we believe the first place built to worship the one God. Some of the scholars believe that's even where maybe Adam and Eve reunited on the earth. We don't know for sure, but we know Abraham constructed that spot. The box, which is known as the Kaaba, is not the original box. It just marks the spot. Because the tradition is Abraham went and left his wife right there in the wilderness. It was just desert. There was nothing there. Peace and blessings be upon him. God commanded him, take your wife, leave her and your child there. And he left. As he left, he said, oh God, make this place a place of sanctuary. And legend has it, she ran back and forth between the mountains looking for sustenance. She's in the middle of the desert, scorching. There's nothing, no husband. They're following God's command. And all of a sudden, the springs gush out from the desert. This is known as the Zamzam water. There's still a spring there that no one can explain how this spring has the amount of water it does, which provides Mecca with all of its water.
Wow.
That's why it became a city. And the tradition of the pilgrimage has been going on since that time.
That's cool, man.
There's a lot of stuff, man. I mean, these are our episodes. But what I'm saying is people don't have any knowledge of their own faith, let alone other religions. It takes time to learn a faith. And if we want to talk about interreligious, like animosity, Brother, it's existed within our own faiths. Like even in Christianity, Protestants and Catholics massacred each other. They couldn't figure it out, and they both believe in Christ, right? In Islam, Sunni and Shia have killed each other, right? Both claim to be Muslim. So then, is it that surprising when Christians and Muslims are pinned against each other? Different sects of Christianity and different sects of Islam have fought and killed each other. I never blame the religion. The religions are clear, brother. 10 commandments. Don't take someone's life. Don't touch someone's wife. Don't steal. Don't bear false witness. And most importantly, don't believe in anything except the one God. That's it. All three faiths have that doctrine. What the followers do, that's on them. They're going to answer to God. Listen, my family was massacred by Christians. Serbian Orthodox Christians. There's videos of them being blessed by monks, okay, before battle. Srebrenica was the greatest atrocity in Europe since World War II. 8,000 unarmed men and boys were massacred in a United Nations safe zone.
Wow.
Can the world explain how the world's army could not protect the people of Bosnia? Imagine you thinking, okay, we're in the United Nations camp. We made it. We're safe. They allowed them to march in. This is all documented, not only historically, on video, and massacre 8,000 unarmed people in a UN safe zone. Not an accident, bro. Never once have I ever heard a Bosnian or me as an Albanian ever blame Christianity for what happened to our people. Why can't we get the same courtesy as Muslims? Why do I, every time some psycho does something who claims to be a Muslim, do I have to defend my faith? When my faith is clear, do not take innocent life. Do not treat others as you wouldn't want to be treated. Actually, if someone does you wrong, if you can show patience and forgive them, it's even better. Like, this is what the faith teaches you. This is the faith that provided you with Muhammad Ali, right? A man that went to jail not to go fight in war, right? And I can go on and on and on. Algebra, we can go on and on. Coffee, hospitals, universities. The reason people wear a cap and gown and are called alumni from the Arabic word alim. Alim means a scholar. That's where that, when you're in America walking down the street and your graduation day with a cap and gown, think the Muslims of the old days that spread these universities throughout the world. This is the true history that they never tell you, because there is an agenda to make Christians and Muslims kill each other.
Who do you think's behind
and hate
that
each
agenda?
other? Who would it benefit? That's your answer. Who would it benefit if I got the two largest groups of people that claim to believe that Jesus is the Messiah? Both believe that, right? Even Muslims believe he's the Messiah, which means chosen one. Doesn't mean divine. It means the anointed one. Both believe he's the Messiah. Both claim to believe in the God of Abraham. Both believe that God sent the gospel of Christ. Who would it benefit if these two groups fight each other? It benefits the godless. It benefits the devil. Or it benefits geopolitical reasons. If I can get the two largest groups to fight each other, I can control all of them. You guys answer that question yourselves. That's who it benefits, Sean Kelly.
Jeez. Man, you know your stuff. I'd love to see you debate Wes Huff.
It's not the debate. It's more of, I'm going to point out simple facts, brother. I love Jesus Christ with all of my heart, but I don't believe he's God. God says in Exodus, and when Moses said, how come I can't see you, God? For no one can see the face of God and live. This is in the Old Testament. Did God forget? Did all of a sudden when Christ, okay, Wes Huff, Jesus is God. Okay, I'll give you that. Then the Bible's wrong. You have to pick. You don't get both. You don't get both, Wes Huff. Is Jesus God? Because if he is, then none of us could have seen him in the flesh. Why would God put that in the Old Testament only to forget it in the New Testament? It says it clear as day in Exodus. Same tradition exists in Islam. The Prophet Muhammad wanted to see God. God said, no human being can see me in the flesh. We can see him in spirit form, but nothing in the material world can withstand the glory of God and his energy. Moses didn't see God directly. Moses saw the reflection of God's light through the burning bush, and that aged him. Imagine if he would have seen God head on. So to me, it's like, hey, in Exodus, it says no one can see God and live. So either A, the Bible's wrong and Jesus is God, or B, he's not God and the Bible's correct. Which one is it? I don't need to sit here and superimpose. Wes Huff is a great historian. But what people don't understand, it sounds so beautiful, all the dates and all this stuff, great. But then he superimposes his beliefs. And then when he talks about Islam, he really has no idea what he's talking about, in my opinion. They want to superimpose. I'm like, let's just talk hard facts. Hard facts. God said, you can never see me in the human form. You had a man who came down, right? And what? He's just like the rest of the other prophets, bro. He came to bring the Israelites back on the path of God. He says in the Bible, I did not come for the Romans. I came for the Israelites. Who spread Christianity? The pagan Romans. Who was born on December 25th? Mithra. Look him up. I mean, you got to get to the point as a Christian, when you see so many coincidences, you got to be like, listen, this doesn't make sense.
Right.
Who spread Christianity? The pagan Romans. What day did they worship? Who did they worship? They worshiped the ancient Roman sun god named Mithra. Mithra was born on December 25th. Very similar story to Jesus' death and resurrection, by the way. Do you find that to be a coincidence, Sean? The people that spread Christianity believed in a sun god born on December 25th. Look it up. I dare you to. So when do we get to this point? We know that the first followers of Christ were hunted down and massacred. We know that the first followers of Christ were called the Ebionites. They were the Israelites who accepted Jesus Christ as the Messiah, but they didn't believe he was God. They basically had the Islamic interpretation. Yes, he was sent by God to guide us back to the true path. He wasn't here for us to worship him. He prayed like we pray. Matthew chapter 26. And Jesus fell with his face to the ground and said, "Oh, my Father, if this cup can pass me, not as I will, as you will." So in that chapter, Jesus is in trouble. He's hiding. Why is he hiding? If he came to die for us and he's divine and he knows the future and he knows no matter what happens, he's going to get on that cross anyway because he's the Alpha and Omega is what they say. Yet he didn't know what hour of judgment day was. They asked him, hey, when's the hour of judgment? Only the Father knows. He was never equal to the Father, even if you read it in English. He never said, pray to me. He never said, worship me. He prayed to the Father. He worshiped the Father. You're reading the book in English. And Wes Huff, to my understanding, is not a master of Aramaic. Neither am I. But how are you going to talk about faith when none of you can even pray in the religion of Christ and in the language of Christ?
Yeah.
That's a big difference between Christians and Muslims. The Muslims pray in the language the book came down.
That's huge because you said 20 to...
I'm a white boy.
Yeah.
Let me recite. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmani Ar-Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Amen. Oh, in the name of God, the most merciful, to you alone we pray. To you alone we seek guidance. Guide us. It starts, to you alone we pray, guide us on the true path, right? This is the summary of what it's called Al-Fatiha. It's the opening prayer. In the name of God, the most merciful, the magnificent. To you alone belongs all prayer. To you alone belongs all worship. Guide us on the true path, right? You're the owner of the day of judgment. Guide us on the path of those who have not incurred your anger or who have gone astray. That's what that prayer says. That's the opening prayer. Every Muslim that prays knows those words in Arabic. You don't have any uniformity in worship throughout all of your denominations. You don't have anyone, no one. So what is the largest group of people on earth that are uniform? It's the Muslims, brother. Who dresses like the mother of Jesus Christ? It's the Muslims, brother. Imagine in America, they were attacking women for covering the way the Virgin Mary's covered. Sean, explain this to me, bro. You can't be a Christian and hate a Muslim woman for the way she's dressed. Where's the Virgin Mary, bro? Peace and blessing. One of the most important women, the most important woman in Islam. She has her own chapter in the Quran called Mary. It's crazy to me, Sean. But you know where this all comes from? From Kanye West, from this, from that. What I'm saying is ignorance. We live in a time, I cannot believe we would have dreamed of this technology when we were kids. To be able to punch something in seconds.
Yeah.
I had to go to a library, pull up the cards, try to find the book. A lot of times the book wasn't there because someone left it in the wrong shelf. I mean, do you guys understand that you will be judged? Because this has duality. I can use it for good. I can use it for bad. You think your excuse with God's going to be, I didn't know. God's going to say, you were too busy going like this, looking at Kanye's wife, but you didn't have 5 minutes to look for me and have knowledge? You had knowledge at your fingertips, but you were too busy looking at Kanye's wife, butt naked at the Grammys, instead of looking for me, instead of looking for the truth, instead of trying to understand why these problems happen. A lot of the issues we have today didn't start yesterday. They started 50, 100, 200 years ago. To understand the world we live in, you have to look backwards. And that's the only time we should look backwards in life, when we're trying to understand why we got to where we are today. I don't think we should live in the past. And when we're talking about our own personal problems, because I can't change things I've done wrong. I can only try to do better. But I'm saying when we look at the collective, how did we get to where we are? That's the only time you should be looking back as a human being and saying, how the hell did we get here?
Agreed.
How did this get into our food? Why did this war start? Why do these two groups of people hate each other? How did it really start? No one cares, man, until it's them. It's like in LA. No one cares about their neighbor's house burning until their house burns. And that's how we are as human beings, unfortunately. Until the danger comes to us, until the problem comes to us, then we worry. No, we should care about each other, man. I don't know. I've never been to Congo. No one even talks about Congo. Millions of people starving and dying. They're human beings too. Why are they in that situation? How did it start? Like, people go, well, what can I do about it? Well, what can I do about it? Imagine if Rosa Parks thought like that. Imagine if Rosa Parks thought, I'm just a black woman on a bus and they're telling me to get up and I got to go sit in the back and that's just the way it's always going to be. Imagine if Rosa Parks thought, well, what can I do? No, she said, you know what? I'm tired. I had enough of this shit. I'm not getting up. And that one decision to say, I'm finished, I'm tired of it, I'm not going to take it anymore, sparked the boycott of the bus, which was like an ignition to the civil rights movement. It was like the spark that just like set it on fire, bro. That one woman gave life to that movement, right?
Yeah.
So never think that you as one person can't change the world or help the world become a better place. And I think that's what you're trying to do with your show. That's what I try to do with my talks, is you never know who you're going to inspire to do better or whose life you're going to save, man. And I've already crossed that. I mean, God did it, but, you know, I never made millions of dollars from this work, brother. I've gotten all kinds of threats. I mean, yeah, I get a lot of good recognition and stuff, but that's not why I started my work. I started it because I went through a hard time in my life. I lost my mom's brother, who I call my brother because he raised me. And I went through a very dark time in my life. And I finally understood for the first time in my life why people would take their own lives. When you lose something that you feel like you can never get back, right? And that's usually someone you love.
Yeah.
And you just give up. It breaks you. It broke me. And I've been through many tragedies. But that one broke me, Sean, right? And then I understand, like, damn, now I get why people do. Like, I have faith in God. That's why if I didn't have faith in God, I would have never made it through those times. Wow. I would have never, I knew not to drink. I knew not to do drugs. This came from the spiritual side of my knowledge, right? I knew if I would have done these things while I was going through that trauma, you know why people become addicts, brother? Something breaks them, and to numb the pain, and there you go. That's what it is. It's a psychological trauma, and then they try to numb the pain, and then they're hooked.
Right.
I knew if I drank with a broken heart when my brother died, I knew I was a dead man. I had seen it so many times in my life. When something traumatic happens to you, you cannot go to drugs and alcohol. God designed you to get through it naturally. It's just too painful, and most people can't bear the pain. But if you go to these crutches to try to get through it, you will most likely not make it out alive. So, you know, when I started doing the podcast, it was like, man, if I save just one life, it's worth it. Bro, for years, you know how hard this industry is, man.
Yeah, it's tough.
Okay, it's crazy, bro. 3 years uploading videos, nothing. People making fun of me. My own family, you're a loser. What are you doing? You're a moron. You're having a midlife crisis. I'm like, it's not about that. I get my first message. I was going to take my life. And I heard how you finish your show. No matter what you're going through, no matter how bad it is, no matter how hopeless it may seem, as long as you have air in your lungs, you can make a comeback. It can get better. Never give up. The guy said, I didn't take my life because of you.
Wow.
I said, how can I stop? I'm not going to stop. And now it's thousands of people, man. It's like crazy to me, bro. It's just, I don't even know how I ended up here, man. And because of this journey, look, I met you and I met this person. I'm going to see Brad Lee next. Like, I took this journey with no idea what was going to happen or what the result would be. And I did it, in my opinion, for the right reasons. And I hope God accepts it for that. Because vanity is an evil thing, bro. And sometimes these subtle things, like, are you doing it for the clout? Or are you staying authentic to why you started your work?
Right.
And I constantly think about that and try to realign myself, because arrogance is I've been arrogant at times in my life. It's something to be ashamed of. Arrogance leads you down the path of people like Kanye West, where you have a God complex and you can parade your wife butt naked in front of the world and think that you're actually cool and doing something smart. It can make you delusional, like it made Nimrod, the king of Babylon, who thought he could fight God. He thought he could fight God, and God sent a mosquito to destroy him, bro. A mosquito went into his nose and to the point where he smashed his own head with his own sword.
Is that where that word comes from? Nimrod?
Until this day, it's known as a word for fool.
Wow.
The word Nimrod, or as the Arabs would say, Nimrud.
I never knew there was a story behind that
The
word.
king
That's
of
cool.
Babel. He thought he was going to build a tower and go up and fight God, bro. That's all. You want to fight me? No problem. I'll destroy you with a mosquito, bro. The mosquito went into his brain, it drove him nuts, and he smashed his own head with a sword. Bro.
Wow.
That's why we call people Nimrods. Till this day, we're talking thousands of years later. Billy Carson, Wes Huff. Wes Huff did amazing work for all spiritual people to expose what I tried to expose. My specials are up there. I did this on Julian's show. I did it on the Danny Jones podcast. I called out Billy Carson before they all did. But I didn't have him on the show. And for that, that's what I'm saying. Like, I respect Christians. I have love for them. We have 90% in common. Literally 90. I don't care. I'll debate anybody on that subject. 90% we have in common. The difference is Jesus divine or not? That's the only major difference in the way we should be praying. That's it. But we pray the way Jesus did. Matthew chapter 26, and I quote, and he fell with his face to the ground and prayed. That's Jesus in the Bible. Who prays like that, Sean Kelly? Show me a Christian group that you know of that prays with their face on the ground. Who prays like that? Do you know of any?
No.
I think some Assyrian sects might. Very rare, though. But the overwhelming majority, they don't pray like that. Who prays like that, Sean Kelly? Which faith do you, when you see people bowing and putting their face on the ground, what's the first religion that pops into your mind?
Islam, right?
When you see a picture of the Virgin Mary covered, what's the first type of women that you would think of in today's world?
Islam.
And you could give it to some Hindus too, I guess, right? They kind of have the covering.
Yeah.
But more covered, you would think the Muslims, right? They say he was a Jew. Jews don't eat pork. Why do Christians eat pork? Why did they not make it mandatory to get circumcised? Did God all of a sudden forget the rules he gave to the Israelites? I mean, they can't. All day, Wes Huff, and they'll give you this beautiful story. No, God didn't make religion to fool us. He didn't make religion to trick us. He didn't tell us one thing and then change it. You know, where it doesn't make any sense, bro. Most of them, in my opinion, they can't even really fully explain it. They try to. Most of this came from the Romans. The pagan Romans. He never said to worship him. He never said to pray to him. They want to quote things that were taken from the Greeks and from Socrates and this one and that one and whatever. Okay? It's a big difference between how that book was compiled and how the Quran was compiled. The Quran already had thousands and thousands of his followers and companions memorized it by heart. They found remnants of a Quran in the UK that the Crusaders brought back. And when they analyzed it, except for a couple spelling errors, okay, because it was by hand, right? There wasn't a printing press. Brother, it's undeniable its authenticity. Then they want to talk about, oh, during this time, they destroyed the Qurans. Yes, because all the followers of that time wrote it down however they were going to memorize it. So they had to standardize it. There was a system of leaving no vowels. It wasn't that there was different versions. It was like Sean wrote the Quran for him to be able to memorize. But there's already thousands of us that memorized it. So we get together as a collective, like, let's make sure we all have it exactly the same. There's too many people that know it. That phenomenon still exists today. It's called Hafiz, man. People who don't even speak Arabic. Find me another book that you can memorize like that. I challenge anyone. Find me a book with 1,000 pages that you could, find me one person on the earth. But the point is this, maybe there is one crazy person that's like autistic that could literally word for word, right? Kind of like the movie Book of Eli with Denzel Washington. That would never be real in real life. That book should have been the Quran in that movie. Find me one person on the earth that can quote one word of the Bible to the end without looking. First of all, which Bible? King James is very different than the Douay Bible of the Catholics. It's missing 7 books. That's a version, not a translation. We ourselves say, when you read the Quran in English, it's 20, 30% you're losing, at least, because we don't speak Arabic. I don't speak Arabic. There's a lot of that book that doesn't cross over, brother. It just doesn't. So the translator tries to get close, and then people want to look and say, oh, that's a contradiction. No, that's the author trying to get as close to the original meaning in English. But it doesn't carry over the same. Any linguist will tell you that. Any linguist will tell you that. I invite people to study the teachings of Ahmed Deedat, one of the greatest religious debaters in the world. God rest his soul. He was a scholar of the Bible and the Quran. Phenomenal debates that are from the 70s. I challenge people to go look at DEEDAT. Go look at those debates. He mops the floor with them, bro. So when we're debating religion, people get mad because it's touchy, right? I believe, bro, you can criticize my religion all day. That doesn't make me want to hate you and take your life for it. If your faith is making you feel like because someone's debating you that you want to end their life, you have some serious problems, man. You're mentally and spiritually sick. I don't get offended. People say the worst things to me. I feel bad for them in my opinion. No, I'm saying like they say really bad stuff. You're mad because we're debating faith? Cool, then I guess you're that weak and your faith is that weak and your religion is that weak that you feel the need to go and take someone's life or threaten their life or hate them based on them wanting to debate you intellectually, not even to like offend you and to be respectful when we do it.
Right.
Why do I not like people like Sam Schumann? He's a lowlife. Sam Schumann, you are a lowlife. The way he called out Lily J, the girl that she's like doing videos online. Hey, ChatGPT. She does like these videos. She's from Australia. She's very respectful. I don't even know if she's a Muslim yet. I think she's probably leaning towards it. This guy, Sam, instead of uniting people, he's very nasty with his language, the way he debates people. God tells us in the Quran, when you speak to the Christians, speak softly to them because they're the closest to you. And amongst them, you'll find people of reason. Meaning, when you talk to people, you shouldn't really debate is not helpful. My mission really is to unite Christians and Muslims, not make them hate each other more. Right. I'm actually fighting against that. But I'm getting dragged into these debates because I'm getting attacked. And people are calling me out. Oh, why don't you debate? I don't like debate. You know why I don't like it? Because God didn't make religion for me to need to prove it to you. He made it that any idiot can find him. He didn't make it complicated. He gave us 10 rules. I'm one God. He made it simple. We made it complicated.
Right.
The problem in the world, Sean Kelly, is not religion. It's the lack of it. It's the lack of it. Because if we followed any of even Hinduism, bro, if we followed that faith, the world, I'm not saying I don't believe in caste system, by the way, okay, at all. I don't agree with that concept at all, okay? But I'm saying in essence, like how you're supposed to treat living creatures and humans and like not take each other's lives and, you know, not take what's not yours and karma and all that, like those concepts, Buddhism, right? Teach you how to be a better person, bro, okay? Period. Because I believe all of the religions have the divine influence, but humanity went astray.
Right.
That's why I liked Islam's explanation of faith. It was God didn't just choose one nation. He sent people all over the earth throughout time. We don't even know all their names. And it was always the same message, but we went astray. We changed the books. And he chose the Israelites for a long period of time. It wasn't that they're the only ones chosen to be saved. They were chosen to receive revelation. And they dropped the ball. They dropped the ball with John the Baptist, and then they dropped the ball when they tried to take the life of the Messiah, Jesus Christ. Which is why we also believe he will come back to earth. Think about Christians and Muslims. We both believe in Jesus. We both believe in the end of time. We both believe he's going to come back. Look at how simple this is. Hey, Christians and Muslims, we don't need to kill each other. We got the same enemies, man. People that want to defile our children, people that want to do the type of crap that Kanye West is doing, people that, you know, the Kardashian world we're living in, okay? No offense to them, because I know people that work for them directly, but no offense. I don't agree with their morality. I just don't. You're famous for what? What are you famous for, Kim? So we always got to remember the seed. If the seed is rotten, what fruit can it bear? How did her fame come from? It came from doing a disgusting act publicly. Okay, with Ray J. That's the seed. What good? Now, can she correct her action? She's not, though. She's still arrogant. Can she correct and say, God, I made a mistake. Forgive me. Yeah, it's never too late to change course. But I don't think they will. They get so deluded by their wealth and their power and their money that. But here's what I want to say to the Christians. I want to end like this. We're not enemies, man. 2 billion Christians, 2 billion Muslims. That's half the world, Sean Kelly. Half the world believes Jesus is the Messiah. Half the world believes he's going to come back down to earth. So if we believe he's going to come back down to earth, why don't we just get along? And when he comes, he'll tell us, I'm God. No, I was just a prophet. He'll tell us. How simple is this? Let's focus on the people taking God out of the classroom, taking God out of society, bringing this immoral world that we live in, putting chemicals and toxins into our food, defiling us in every single direction of our lives. That is our enemy, Christians and Muslims. That is who we should focus on. The people that have brought filth into the world, endless conflict, endless wars, And many of the times they take your faith and our faith to pull it off. We need to wake up, Christians and Muslims. We are not enemies. We both believe in Jesus Christ. We both believe he will return. When he returns, he will tell us who was right or wrong. Until then, let's join forces and let's pay attention to these godless, satanic, demonic agendas that are not by accident. That's what we need to be doing. They got you focused on the wrong thing. Look over here while we destroy you over there. Muslims are not your enemies, Christians. And Muslims, Christians are not your enemies. And you know that because our faith teaches us that. If it wasn't for the first Christians, Islam wouldn't be here today. The Prophet commanded us, peace be upon him, to go to a Christian king, Sean Kelly. Do you know this history?
No.
The first Muslims were being persecuted and massacred by their own tribesmen, by their own clans, by their own families. And the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, said, listen to me. Most of you, I need you to go to Abyssinia, ancient Ethiopia, the Najasi in Arabic, the Negus, not the curse word, because people, there's like that spelling bee video. He was the king of the ancient Ethiopians, the king of ancient Abyssinia. He was a righteous Christian king that gave refuge to the first Muslim refugees that had to leave Mecca because they were being massacred by their own pagan brothers and sisters. A Christian is not an infidel in Islam. A Christian has a protected class in Islam known as a person of the book, people of the book. In Islam, if you open up the Quran, God calls the Israelites, the Jews, and the Christians the people of the book. What does that mean? The people who received the books that came before the Quran. The Torah, the Old Testament, the Psalms of David, and the gospel of Christ, which we do not have completed during his lifetime. The gospel was his spoken word. We have bits and pieces of it from people that heard this and heard that, but he never left it completed during his lifetime. So God sent the last testament, the Holy Quran, to correct everything that came before it. That's Islam in a nutshell. We don't claim to be a new religion. The act of submitting to the Creator was from day one. Muslim is one who submits their will to God. What did Jesus say in Matthew 26? Oh, Father, not as I will, but as you will. He didn't even have the same will equal to the Father, let alone be God. He had to submit his will to the Father. That's in Matthew chapter 26, verses 36 to 39. These are things that Wes Huff can address if he wants. So it's not a debate, brother, but these are like black and white, you know?
Yeah. Have you seen any of Alex O'Connor's stuff?
No, I haven't.
Really?
I don't, maybe the faces, I can't, but there's so many damn people out there.
Yeah, he's an atheist, I believe. He debates a lot of people, but interesting.
Atheists are some of the best people I've met.
Really?
To me, atheists are people who wanted to believe in God, but just can't wrap their head around it in the sense that they feel like, where is God? If there is a God, then why are all these people dying and kids? And he just sits there and watches us. Because that might seem tragic to us, right? We got to remember, to God, none of this is tragic because he knows what's going to happen. God is outside our space and time. He's infinite. And I say he's not because he's a man. We can't even comprehend this being, right? This being that created us, Sean. I mean, there's so many points that an atheist could never debate. There's too many coincidences to point towards intelligent design, bro. It's just impossible. I don't leave my bed a mess and come home and find it made. That's just a simple bed. How do you expect this? All these systems, Sean Kelly. Respiratory system. I eat something, digestive system. Ecosystem, right? The weather, right, is, what do you call it? It's a part of the ecosystem, but system upon system upon system. Systems are not made by accident. For you to exist is why I could never be an atheist. It's just, there's just too many coincidences for us to be here, to even be alive, bro. It's just crazy. It's to deny the creator. None of this is by accident, Sean. This meeting, this nothing, there's no such thing as luck, Sean. You can say it all you want. Could you control to who you were born to?
No.
Your trajectory was already set before you ever were even born. You couldn't control. You could have been born in the 1300s, brother. Why now? You had no say in that. That's God's power. The game board is rigged, Sean Kelly, of when you're inserted into this simulation that God created. That's what this existence is. A simulation that God created to see which of us would rise and elevate or de-elevate spiritually. And many of us are losing. So, you know, the bottom line is, and again, I'm losing my train of thought because this is really complicated stuff to talk about.
Simulation theory. So that means you might believe in numerology then too.
I believe that God created this universe to test not only us. There are other species that live on this earth that were here long before us. And they're calling them UAPs and aliens. There is no aliens, bro. If you believe in God, if you are a Jew, a Christian, or a Muslim, we are the aliens. We are the ones that were cast down. The demonic realm always lived on earth, Sean Kelly. In Arabic, they're known as the jinn. And many of their attributes are what you would classify as alien attributes, like telepathy, like teleporting, like moving and flying and all of that stuff, okay? What I think is going on, the reason they're programming, because they've been programming us for a long time with this alien stuff, is because I believe they have opened the portal to that dimension. This is interdimensional. This is not interplanetary. This is an interdimensional war that was declared on us from the minute we were created by that race. Satan declared war, Shaitan, declared war on Adam before God even blew the soul into his body that he made, before he fell from the heavens. That war's been going on since the beginning of time. That race, some of my theories are they're the ones that actually built the pyramids. I think when Adam fell, God may have locked them into a different dimension. Like we may have even found these structures because they had cities on this earth. Yeah, the demonic realm.
Atlantis, right?
They had cities, they had all of this stuff, right? One of my theories is maybe these were built even before humanity took control of them. And God locked them into a different dimension than ours. This is one of my theories. I've never heard anyone say this theory. So maybe they built the pyramids, all this stuff. We know that these ancient civilizations practiced the arts of black magic. We know a lot about black magic through Solomon, who exists in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Solomon had the power to control both dimensions, which is why Masonic rituals are done on a checkered board with the pillars of Solomon. It is the crossing of the dimensions of light and darkness. That's why everything is on a checkerboard. It's the crossing of their dimension with ours. There are human beings that have sold their soul in the war against humanity to Satan's army, to the demonic realm. That's what it is. That's what all these rituals are. Hollywood, the music is all created to demonically destroy your soul, to show God how ungrateful his creation is, because it all started with the most evil emotion that there is, and it exists in our species too, which is jealousy. Jealousy is the only reason why we're on this earth, Sean Kelly. If the devil just would have shown the respect that God commanded him to show Adam, we wouldn't even be here today.
Wow.
Okay? Which is why envy and jealousy are so evil. Like think about Selena, the singer that got a
Gomez.
No, Selena, the first Mexican. Chitty chitty bamba. J-Lo played her in the movie.
Yeah.
She was killed by someone she loved. But that woman was envious and jealous of her. Jealousy is such a dangerous emotion. If you hate someone because of how they look, if you hate someone because of how much success they have, what you don't realize is, A, you definitely don't believe in God. If you have any jealousy because of the way a woman looks, and you're a woman and you think she's prettier than you, or you're a man and you're mad that this guy has a G-Wagon or whatever, right? And you don't. Who you're actually mad at is God and yourself. It is God that gives you the opportunities. It's God that opens the doors. There's no such thing as luck. And what you're saying, the way you were shaped, right? The way you look, that was a blessing from God. So when you're hating on another woman or a man because of how they look, who you're really mad at is God. You're evil because you're mad at the creator for giving them that blessing. You're like the devil. That's why the devil, who was jealous of, why is Adam getting this special respect from him? I've always been, because remember, the devil was good at first. I was always so loyal, and he was never an angel. He got to live amongst the angels. That's the difference between Christianity and Islam. We believe that he was of the demonic realm. Not all of the demonic realm is evil. Half of them have free will. The Christians, the closest they get to that explanation is fallen angels.
Yeah.
But it's technically also not 100% inaccurate, right? Because he was a fallen angel in the sense that he lived amongst the angels, but fell.
Right.
Angels don't really have free will. Like they have free will, but they don't have the ability to disobey God, right? The devil did. When God commanded him to respect Adam, he didn't respect Adam. He's like, I'm not going to bow to him. You made him out of mud. You made me from fire, which could be like a smokeless flame, could be electric. We don't know exactly. Some of the scholars believe maybe it's a form of electric current that they're made from these creatures, and the way they teleport and the way they can do and there's different versions, like different species of them within their own. You know, I love when I hear people go the Palladians and the Intergalactic Federation. Bro, you sound like clowns, bro. I'm sorry. You sound like clowns.
Star seeds.
These are demonic beings that lived on earth long before us. And there's more to prove it that way than the other way. Who gave you the name? The Intergalactic Federal. Who gave you that name? Where does that even come from? Well, the Anunnaki and the... Bro, the devils use the same trick for every species. Believe in us, worship us, we'll give you power, we'll give you knowledge. That's what black magic is. You perform rituals, you basically sell your soul, and they give you knowledge you wouldn't have. I believe that's where a lot of this stuff came from. I swear to God, there's no way we came up with this. And when you study Jack Parsons, like I mentioned earlier, he tells you, we used to summon beings. We did this, we did orgy. We did all these weird rituals. And then I had a dream where this being came to me named Belial Dajjal. Dajjal is the Arabic word for Antichrist. This is Jack Parsons, bro.
Wow.
The reason rockets went up. I'm not making this up, bro. That's where this all comes from. And he's in bed with Walt Disney and this one and that one and the occult and the people that made the A-bomb. It's all from the demonic realm.
Wow.
Go study Aleister Crowley's life, bro. I freaking dare you. Study his life. Study his disciples. Study the people he worked with. Study the things that they invented. And you'll see how deep this wormhole goes.
We'll do that on the next episode.
On the next episode. Da-na-na-na-na. It's the mother effing Sean Kelly.
It's been a pleasure, man. Anything else you want to close off with here?
Bro, we went on a rant here, man. All I want to say is, man, all people, regardless of faith, religion, creed, nationality, sex, we're on the same team, man. Live and let live. They make us hate each other so we can destroy one another. And look at what they're doing to all of us, man. We need to wake up. There's a lot on the line. We don't got room for hatred anymore. We can disagree on opinions and doctrines and stuff. We can have intelligent debates. We don't need to freaking kill each other, man. It's 2025 already. Let's stick together for once. Let's try that. Let's try that for once. Let's stick together for once, man. Let's care about each other. Let's care about our neighbor. Let's care about our neighborhood. Let's care about our town, our city, our country, and other countries that we may never even visit if we're all a part of the collective and human family. That's our dream, I think, a lot of us. I know that's your dream. And God willing, we can get there if we stick together, man. But we need to pay attention. There's too much noise.
Absolutely.
With that said, man, respect to my brother Sean Kelly, man.
And check out Bek's stuff, guys. We'll link below. Thanks for watching. See you next time.